What's up, everyone? It's your host Connor from The World Divide. Today I'm going to give y'all a May 11th, 2023 update on the conflict happening with the Russo-Ukrainian war. So now the past several days, past several months, there's been a lot of hype going on about the Ukrainian counteroffensive that is supposed to happen. As well as on May 9th, we had ourselves Victory Day. This took place in Russia. Nothing really unusual happens there. Only real thing was there's an upscale and or an escalation of rhetoric from both parties, but nothing that we haven't heard before from Vladimir Putin. Wasn't really too much to note there. We expected the Ukrainian counteroffensive to kind of happen around that date, but now it looks like it's being delayed more and more. There's also talks now that the counteroffensive will be delayed until further notice. Another piece of news is Vladimir Zelensky, the general of the Ukrainian army. Zelensky was supposed to attend a NATO meeting recently. He has not been heard from. There's speculation that he is dead, but I suspect that that's not the case, that he is actually very busy, very occupied with something, whether it be related to the counteroffensive or something else. Now, this war is pretty much at a stalemate now. The ground is still getting better and better. Weather conditions have been becoming more and more favorable. The Ukrainians are likely pausing on their counteroffensive operation because where it'd be most prudent for them to strike, there are vast numbers of Russian forces, defensive line positions, things of that nature. They've already attempted a reconnaissance in force south of the town of Orikhiv, which is near Zaporozhye, and met with very fierce resistance. Over in our pockets, Avdiivka, not much progress has been made from both sides. You go to Ugledar or Marinka, same there. The Kupiansk front line, similar Recco in combat, no progress made. Fighting in Bakhmut is still extremely fierce. There has been a penetration recently by Russian forces in the citadel, the strongest point of defense in Ukraine's lines within the western part of Bakhmut. That battle will eventually end. As to when that's going to happen, I do not know. As to if that's going to activate a larger scale offensive by the Russians, also unknown. There's a lot of conflicting reports, a lot of conflicting information. There have been attempts by the Ukrainians to launch offensives across the river of Dnipro from Kherson. They captured a thin strip of land, which have not made any progress since. It seems as though the fog of war is heavier than it has ever been, and it's pretty much almost impossible to predict what is going to happen next. There's conflicting reports after conflicting reports. If the Ukrainians are to strike, it's likely to be somewhere that we do not expect. Maybe the Russians do suspect it, maybe they do not. It is hard to tell, but I believe at this point the Ukrainians, even with the Western equipment that they have gained, do not have the capacity or ability to launch a large theater, large-scale counteroffensive that's going to have any meaningful impact. And worse still, they would suffer such horrendous casualties from such a offensive that would give the Russians an upper hand. So it may be prudent for the Ukrainians not to launch the counteroffensive and wait for the ground to get better, wait for warmer conditions. We may not see any movement on the lines, any large-scale actions until July or August. So maybe a while. But as of right now, things are going to remain the status quo for the time being. That's pretty much it. That's why I haven't really been giving many updates. This has been Recco in Combat, small counteroffensive operations. There was a small counteroffensive operation south of Orkiv to basically shorten the gray zone between Russian and Ukrainian positions. There was also a small Ukrainian counteroffensive on the southern Bakhmut flank. The Russians didn't really provide any resistance. They just stepped back east of the canal that runs between Chasiv Yar and Bakhmut. Nothing too significant or meaningful has happened. That's all I've got for you today, guys. I'll provide an update when I feel like it. See you soon. Peace out.